The Watership Down podcast is intended for listeners who are familiar with the plot. There will be spoilers. This episode is scripted, narrated, recorded and edited by Newell Fisher. Hello, and welcome to the Watership Down podcast episode 171, in which we'll be introducing the 2018 Netflix miniseries. First though, an item of borough keeping. I've decided after many months to get over myself and start using the Twitter feed again. That's Twitter. Although it is a much degraded form of social media now, in my humble opinion, it has endured, and so I've updated the account with all the missing episodes and will keep it updated from now on, although the Threads account will also be updated as well. The Twitter handle for this podcast is, in case you need reminding, at the Watership DO1, all one word. Details in the notes. Introduction to the 2018 Netflix miniseries. The 2018 Netflix miniseries of Watership Down is the most recent film version of the story. It is also truly a product of the modern era, being the first film version of Watership Down that you cannot own a physical copy of. The BBC announced in 2014 that it was developing a new animated series of Watership Down. Then in 2016 it was announced that it would be a co-production between the BBC and Netflix, with the latter having the global rights. So, returning to my rant at the beginning of going through the two BBC radio plays, why isn't it also available to licence payers in the UK on the BBC iPlayer? After all, as I said then, if you watch TV in the UK, you help to fund its production. It consists of 4 episodes of roughly 50 minutes each, making it just over twice the length of the 1978 film. The 4 episodes are called The Journey, The Raid, The Escape and The Siege. It was directed by Israeli director Noam Muro, whose main film credit was 2014's sequel to 300, Rise of an Empire. The script was adapted by Tom Bidwell, who began his broadcast writing career on BBC Radio 4 and went on to become a scriptwriter for 4 BBC television soap operas, EastEnders being the most significant. The BBC and Netflix deal meant that it was first broadcast in the UK on the TV channel BBC One on the 22nd of December 2018, when episodes 1 and 2 were broadcast back to back. The following day, the 23rd of December 2018, episodes 3 and 4 were broadcast on BBC One back to back. On the same day, it was released on Netflix, where it remains available for subscribers for viewing and download to this day, because that's how it's done now. The series uses CGI animation, which stands for computer-generated imagery, making it another first for portrayals of Watership Down. It is fair to say that it had a mixed reception. I really wanted to like this series, and although I did enjoy it overall, I think it has some significant issues. For a start, the quality of the CGI has been criticised, as in 2018 it was capable of being far better, that being the same year in which Avengers Infinity War was released. Whatever you think of the Marvel films, please do compare and contrast. On the other hand, it has been praised for its soundtrack and for the quality of performance of its voice cast, both of which are impressive overall. It has become very clear, in preparing to look at this series, that it divides opinion even more than the 1999 to 2001 TV series. I have referred to the episodes of this podcast that covered that series as being this podcast's difficult 4th season. I strongly suspect that its 5th season will be even more so. The voice cast of the Netflix miniseries. The quality of the voice cast of the 2018 miniseries is easily comparable to that of the 1978 film. In fact, I would advance the opinion that in terms of acting achievements, they easily exceeded it. This should not really be a surprise, as the budget, adjusted for inflation, probably also easily exceeded that for the 1978 film by some margin. This is a reminder that a high-quality voice cast cannot compensate for the quality of script and animation if they do not live up to expectations, which many consider them not to have done in this series. So, who portrayed our rabbit friends in this version? As before, I will try to give examples of their work that will be most familiar to an international audience. Hazel is played by the highly talented Scottish actor James McAvoy. He was Professor X in the 2011 film X-Men First Class. He was also the central split personality character in the film Split 2016. Fiver was played by Nicholas Hoult. He played Henry Hank McCoy alias the Beast in X-Men First Class, and he was also Nux in Mad Max Fury Road in 2015, the one who says "Oh what a day" while driving through a deadly sandstorm. Bigwig is played by none other than John Boyega, who was the renegade First Order Stormtrooper Finn in episodes 7, 8 and 9 of Star Wars. No further introduction needed. The Thrayera is played by Tom Wilkinson, OBE, who died in 2023. He played mob boss Carmine Falcone in Batman Begins 2005, though his best-known native British role is probably as Gerald Cooper in The Full Monty 1997. Blackberry is played by Miles Jupp, an actor and comedian who probably isn't so well known outside the UK. He plays Holy Roman Emperor Francis II in Ridley Scott's film Napoleon 2023. Dandelion is played by Daniel Rigby, who was Waldo and Jamie Salter in Series 2, Episode 3 of the UK TV series Black Mirror in 2013, first broadcast on British TV Channel 4, now on Netflix. Hawkbit is played by Mackenzie Crook, who played the gangling character Ragetti with the false eye in 3 of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise from 2003 to 2007. However, for a British audience, he will probably always be best known as Gareth Keenan, the terminally stupid paper salesman from the original 2001 to 2002 British version of The Office. You know, the vastly superior version that its creator Ricky Gervais has had to repeatedly point out was so much better than the pale US imitation, starring some unknown actor by the name of, checks notes, Steve Carell. This is seriously worth a YouTube search, by the way. Their rivalry is hilarious. Bluebell, who in this version leaves Sandalford with the initial group, is played by Daniel Kaluuya. He played W'Kabi in Black Panther 2017 and Fred Hampton in Judas and the Black Messiah 2021, for which he won a BAFTA and Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Dewdrop, who is Hazel's initial love interest at Sandalford Warren, is played by Gemma Chan, who was the leading character Anita Hawkins and Maya Elster in the British Channel 4 TV series Humans from 2015 to 2018. Freddie Fox plays Captain Holly. He plays James Bond authored Ian Fleming in the 2024 film The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Cowslip is played by Roy Kinnear. He played M's Chief of Staff in 4 James Bond films from 2008 to 2021. He was also the Prime Minister in the highly disturbing first episode of Black Mirror in 2011. Do not look this up if you're at all sensitive. Silverweed is played by Peter Guinness, who played Major Burov in the 2019 HBO drama Chernobyl. He was also the prison inmate Gregor in Alien 3, 1992. Strawberry is played by Olivia Colman, as the role is gender-swapped. She played Queen Elizabeth II in Series 3 and 4 of Netflix series The Crown from 2019 to 2020. However, for a British audience, her work is perhaps better represented by her hilarious role as the potty-mouthed PC Doris Thatcher in the film Hot Fuzz 2008. Clover is played by Gemma Arterton, who was Strawberry Fields in Bond film Quantum of Solace 2008. As well as this role qualifying her at the time as a Bond girl, she also won an Empire Award for Best Newcomer. Lizzie Clark plays Haystack. She appeared in the 2016 short Rocket. Murray MacArthur plays the human farmer. He was the wildling chieftain Dim Dalber in the HBO series Game of Thrones. Lorraine Bruce plays the farmer's wife. She played Denise Simpson in the 2013 BBC TV series The Syndicate. Lucy the Farm Girl is played by Isla Johnston. She plays Lucy Spencer in 2021 Apple TV series Invasion. Kihar is played by Peter Capaldi, who was the 12th Doctor Who from 2013 to 2017, though he is also well known as the foul-mouthed Malcolm Tucker, who he played in the political drama The Thick of It from 2005 to 2012. He also voiced the most recent audiobook of Watership Down in 2019. And so on to the Efrafids. General Woundwort is played by Ben Kingsley, who played Mahatma Gandhi in the 1982 film. For a more recent role, he was actor Trevor Slattery, who was hired to play the villainous Mandarin in Iron Man 3 2013. Campion is played by Lee Ingleby, who was Stan's Shunpike, the magical conductor of the night bus in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban 2004. Hyacinthe is played by Anne-Marie Duff. She played Queen Elizabeth I in the 2005 BBC miniseries The Virgin Queen. Adewale Akinnuoye Agbaje plays Vervain. He was the dark elf Algrim the Strong in Thor The Dark World 2013. Craig Parkinson is Sergeant Sainfoin. He is perhaps best known for his UK TV work. He was board social worker Sean in the 2010 to 2011 series of Misfits. Jason Watkins is Captain Orkis. He played British Prime Minister Harold Wilson in Series 3 of Netflix series The Crown in 2019. Rosie Day is Thethuthinang. She played Summer Falk, Sarah Jessica Parker's daughter, in the 2015 romantic comedy All Roads Lead to Rome. However, Thethuthinang's singing voice is supplied by Brit and Mobo winning singer Emily Sandé as she sings the haunting song 10,000 Enemies. Blackavar is played by Henry Goodman. He was the Ritz Hotel concierge in the film Notting Hill 1999. Charlotte Spencer plays Nettle, a traitorous substitute for Nell Filter. She played female lead Charlotte Appleby in the 2016 BBC series The Living and the Dead. This leaves us with just the supernatural characters. Taron Egerton is El Ahrar. He starred as Gary Unwin in the two Kingsman films in 2015 and 2017. James Faulkner is Frith. He was Randall Tarley in the HBO series of Game of Thrones. And last but not least, Rosamund Pike plays the Black Rabbit of Inlay. She was Miranda Frost in the Bond film Die Another Day 2002 and Sam Chamberlain in the comedy World's End 2013. So, those are all the named cast members I could find who play definitely defined characters. So what is the look and style of this series? Style and representation. From the very start, this version of Watership Down, regardless of the English accents of its characters, does not look to me as if it is set in the south of England. The landscape is simply far too open, with an apparent absence of hedgerows, for example. I may be displaying my own ignorance here, but to me it looks as if it is set in such landscapes as can be found in more sparsely populated parts of North America. And then there are the rabbits. Ignoring for a moment the uncanny valley aspect of their animation that some have commented upon when it comes to their faces, they simply do not look like the European rabbits found in the UK. To my British eyes, once again, they look more like hares or even jackrabbits. What's more, they mostly look like hares that could do with a good groom. And here is the problem with making a film about a tough, brutal story involving rabbits. They can just look too cute. The makers of the 1978 film thought about this very hard and did not shy away from making their rabbits look like rabbits. Their focus was on injecting just the right amount of expression into their faces. Not too much, which would make them too human, nor too little, which would make them not human enough and therefore not very relatable. As a result, when you watch the 1978 film, your focus, I think, is very much on the faces, and that kind of bypasses the cuteness. However, here the faces can look kind of dead. There isn't enough expression to keep your focus. Fortunately, the voice performances still hold your attention, but I find my eye drifting away more to the physicality of these rabbits, and it's just too lanky, to borrow a phrase, which is why they look more like hares. However, all the above aside, I have absolutely no doubt that a person who had never encountered Watership Down before would enjoy this version overall in its own right. And I am among those who have encountered Watership Down who do enjoy watching it overall, though its faults always tarnish that enjoyment a bit. But why would you make a version of Watership Down that was not intended for pre-existing fans of the story? As we go through this mini-series, from time to time I will be exploring the possibility that this is exactly what they did, and asking what the point would be of doing so. Breaking the miniseries down. The age of DVDs, where films were broken down into more easily accessible chapters than in the age of VHS video, is long past. These days, you young'uns, as well as those of us who are more advanced in years, can get straight to the bit we want to see in seconds. However, the Netflix series has 4 50-minute long episodes, and as I'm obviously not going to deal with it in 4 episodes of the podcast, I've had to break it down a bit. When we went through the 1999 to 2001 TV series, I basically went through each 23-minute episode in one podcast episode. Unexpectedly, this tended to result in episodes of this podcast that were also about the same length, as there was a lot more complexity of plotting than I had appreciated, and I did not want to brush past it for convenience. However, I've decided that I cannot continue making episodes of that length, much as I might like to, simply due to the changeable nature of our lives at the moment. So, a few months ago, by sheer chance, I decided that I would break down the Netflix series into 20 episodes, each dealing with only about 10 minutes of the action. And it turns out that was a very sensible decision. Each of the Netflix episodes, therefore, will be covered in 5 episodes of this podcast, and I will be giving each one of them an appropriately DVD-like title. For those of you of a younger persuasion, this will seem incredibly contrived and crass, but for the rest of us, I'm sure, it will be a touching trip down memory lane to a simpler time when you had to fast forward or skip through the trailers when watching a DVD, and where the chapters, added by those releasing the DVD version, were a touch of artistic license which worked better in some cases than in others. Next time, we look at the first part of episode 1 of the Netflix miniseries, Fiver's Warning. And yes, I do know I could have just called it the notice board.